My name is Matthew King and I am the producer and director of Shrek the Musical and the company director for Macabre Theatre Company. So Shrek the Musical is very much based on the original film version by DreamWorks. When they transferred to Broadway, they decided to take the original jokes, which really made fun of Disney and other movie studios, and transfer that to Broadway. So all of the script and songs actually reference other Broadway shows. So you'll see references in there to things like Gypsy, Wicked, Chicago, and basically making fun of all of them as part of the way that only Shrek can. Shrek the Musical follows a very similar storyline to the first film from DreamWorks. However, when adapted to the stage, it was really important to capture a few different things. And one of the main things that we see is how the characters progress in terms of finding who they are as people, or in this case, ogres. We get to see their hopes and dreams come to life on the stage and who they would be if the world didn't make them choose to be what they are. We get to see them stand up for themselves and fight back when people push them down. And we get to see a certain achievement of inclusion that we'd hope for in our everyday life. So the storyline of Shrek is incredibly connected to everything we see in our everyday life, because it is all about belonging and being a part of something and finding the joy that makes your life better to be a part of. Working with Sione, Juliet and Kobe has been a really fantastic experience for me. Each of them has worked with me years in the past. I worked with Kobe back when he was 11 in a production of Oliver. Juliet started with us in a production of Annie years ago as well, and Sione started with us when he was just 18 in Greece. So all of them have sort of gone off and done different things and extended themselves as artists. They've come back to do this production, and it's just magical to see the three of them on stage together and bring so much heart and soul to the show.
I'm Sione and I'm playing Shrek in Shrek the Musical. Shrek's kind of this interesting character that sort of lives his life by the fairy tale books. Doesn't like fairy tales and stuff. He sort of hides away, because that's what he's taught to do. And it's really interesting to see him grow from that. And I think the musical explores a lot more of the character himself.
I'm Juliet Burville and I'll be playing Fiona. She's a very two-sided girl, I would suppose. So there's a reference in one of her songs and she says she's bipolar, which is very accurate. One side of her, the human side, she's very emotional and very dainty, I suppose, where other times she would be really outrageous and disgusting and funny. There's a contrast there with her character.
Oh, with a giggle and a flip of her hair. I smell the pheromones in the air.
I'm Kobe McNaught and I play the role of Donkey. Part of Donkey has been very different to other roles that I've played, especially with like the physicality of the character and the costume, wearing like a whole fursuit with hooves and squatting the whole time and moving around very quickly.
The Puppet Project is an initiative that has been done in partnership with the Fraser Coast Regional Council and through the RADIF Arts funding program. We were very fortunate to receive funds to actually pay to create Scarlett, and in particular for the resources. It does take a lot of money to build and to create, because we had to develop some skills and some styles of artistry that we've never used before. It's taken about 8 weeks to completely build Scarlett as an 8-metre long dragon, which stands 3.5 metres tall. She takes 4 people to operate her, and she has some wonderful different attributes that she can do. And one of the best things obviously is that she can move her mouth and sing on stage and sing along to the beautiful voices that are along with her on stage. She is operated by 4 separate people. One person who operates her head, another person who operates her tail, and then 2 more people who operate and move her body. Originally she started off as a backpack puppet, but as we designed and grew, we realized that was certainly not going to work. So it was very important that we made sure that she was on a trolley and she could move around the space freely. She uses compressed EVA foam as her main body and her structure. She's then used a calico and glue mixture which creates the outside shell, and then the additional thing that's really exciting is her latex scales. So the back of the entirety of the puppet has been covered in latex cast scales that have been handmade and hand dyed to suit her colour. And this is a brand new technique we've never used before, and it was really exciting to get to discover that. So Sonia is one of our amazing visual artists that has worked on Scarlet the Puppet. She is a sculptor and painter, and you can see her beautiful work that she's done on the hands and the feet and the head of Scarlet.
My name's Sarah Booker and I play Dragon as well as one of the 3 blind mice. I feel a bit of a bond to it, and it's not even a real thing. It's just an inanimate object, but she's like, you know, she's a real thing now. She's Scarlet, you know. It's really nice to be able to say that, hey, I gave her the voice. You know, she didn't have a voice till I gave it to her, and to be picked for that was pretty damn special. Quite proud.
To achieve a production like this, it's really important to have a quality stage crew to make sure that all the effects can be seen and viewed the best way they possibly can, as well as make sure that they're incredibly safe. So we have about 35 performers on stage, but then an additional 10 to 15 people off stage who are making all the magic happen. The set for Shrek the Musical is comprised of a circular rotation stage, which is a little bit of a challenge to do, certainly in original theatres such as Wagga Theatre and in productions like this. One of the main concerns obviously is safety and making sure it meets all of our standards. There have been a huge number of people who have worked on Shrek the Musical set, building and doing workshops over many weeks to make it possible for our production. People who are doing set painting, designing as well as construction. We have at least 15 volunteers who have been very dedicated to building our wonderful set.
My name is Israel and I'm the technical manager for Shrek the Musical. I'm also the head of sound and operating that during the show. Sound is probably one of those roles that you don't notice until it's done wrong. Probably not as credited as much as it should be, but it's certainly the most important part of backstage operations. Something we had to do for this show in particular was plan our mic cues and mic changes well in advance. We're dealing with around 22 mics, which is more than even some Broadway productions use. And we're also dealing with a lot of playback cues, so that's playing back tracks for whether that's backing tracks and instrumentals or underscoring through scenes, and lots of sound effects as well. And all of those will play off of lines in the show and off of cast timing, and there's a lot of getting in sync with people on stage and learning that, which has been a lot of fun.
I got a postcard with monorail and gift shop, and so.
I'm Maurice Rosted and I'm playing Lord Farquaad. The Lord Farquaad is a little man with a very big personality and big dreams. Big dreams? No, he's got a big ego, is what he has. In Shrek the movie, you don't get to see a lot of his backstory, but they kind of touch onto it in the musical, which is really funny. We learn at the very end of the show that Lord Farquaad was 28, living in his dad's basement, and he kicked him out, and he felt very abandoned by that. And then so he somehow rose to power and took over the whole kingdom of Duloc, because I guess his mum was a princess, so he was in line to the throne.
My name is Sienna Edmondstone. My role is young Fiona. Basically there's 3 Fionas. There's young Fiona, teen Fiona and adult Fiona. There's 3 different stages of the character. For example, I've been in the tower for 23 days, and so I'm thinking that it's the longest time ever, basically, because I don't know that I'm going to be here for 20 years. I'm sick of it already.
Working with Tegan and Gunilla is a fantastic experience for me. We share this creative vision that's really wonderful. It's a joy to work with them. We often just feel very much in sync with what we're doing, and you can see that when it steps onto the stage, this seamless performance between the 3 elements of performing, singing and dancing.
My name's Tegan and I'm the movement director or the choreographer for Shrek. Preparing for the Shrek musical for about 12 weeks now, so that includes rehearsals, but obviously as the choreographer I do a lot of behind the scenes work as well and spend time during the week choreographing dances and that to teach the dancers. The dances for Shrek have been a little bit difficult because obviously we have to incorporate into the fact that we have lots of different story, fairy tale creatures and that with a variety of different costumes, so coming up with movements that is appropriate for all of them to do in their various costumes was a little bit tricky. And then each song in Shrek actually has a very different feel to it, so there's a lot of character movement and then a lot of jazz cabaret movement and then also a tap dance. So it has been a very interesting time choreographing all the dances for Shrek.
My name is Gunilla and I am the vocal director for the show. So it's a great musical to work with the character voices for all the different characters. They have been working really hard to get Pinocchio's squeaky voice and other voices and things like that. So Gingy, for instance, that is a very squeaky little voice, and so everybody has their own personalities and things like that. So for me as a vocal teacher and vocal coach, it's been a lot of fun teaching all the techniques to the cast.
Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man, the Muffin Man! I'm Danny and I play Gingy and the Sugar Plum Fairy. I feel like everyone loves Gingy because, I don't know, he's got this cute little voice and then he gets his legs ripped off and it's so horrible and you can't help but love him.
People really don't understand how much work goes into something like this. And not just work, but money, time, everything goes into it, you know, and we don't get paid for it. We're doing it because we love it. A lot of people think you just go and read some lines and sing some songs and yay. No, there's so much more, so much more. When you go home from here, you're still doing what you've been doing all day for rehearsals. You go home and you do it all week, and then next week you get better. There's constant stuff to be done. It gives you that sense of achievement at the end though, because you're like, we did that. We pulled that together and we made something amazing.
So doing a production like Shrek the Musical has a huge challenge, especially around art direction and art design. So whether that's with costuming and makeup, but in particular costuming is a huge challenge to create these fairy tale cartoon characters and bring them to life in a realistic and authentic space on stage. So we have had an exceptional team led by Leslie DeBroy, who have managed to display something that's just absolutely phenomenal. So we're so fortunate to have that high level calibre of artists here on the Fraser Coast and be a part of our production.
I'm Leslie DeBroy, and this year in Shrek I'm responsible for designing and coordinating making most of the costume. Many of the costumes are constructed. They have a lot of foam, wadding, bodysuits underneath the actual costume, and then of course measuring and fitting the costume to not only the actor but the bodysuit as well is pretty tricky.
So this is my contraption, my legs. Because I'm 6'2" and Lord Farquaad is quite a bit lower than, I'm shorter than that, I do the whole show on my knees. So we've got these legs, so I'm going to be kneeling in these knee pads, attached the knee pads to the boot. We cut out the bit of the boot so we could make it all secure. And I've got this whole harness that I wear over my head to keep it all in place, and then a bunch of things go over it. I should be able to move and walk with my knees.
So my name is Mitchell Piddard and I will be playing Peter Pan, King Harold, doing some puppeteering for the dragon and also some backstage tech as well. For my costumes, I was actually really excited to work on my costumes this year. I made a Peter Pan costume where I sewed would be over 200 leaves to a tunic. Really fun experience to be able to get in and actually make the costume yourself, because when you see it on stage it feels really rewarding to be able to see that costume that you've kind of put together come to life with the rest of the cast.
My name is Bronwyn and I work with the costume making with Macabre. I am Matt's mother and I've worked on all his productions. Well, Macabre is Matt's dream, and he had a dream from about 17 that he wanted to have his own theatre company. He did a lot of work in other companies and it's good to see his dreams come through, and I like to be part of that.
In all the shows I've worked on, he is the best director I've worked with. He's very clear, very concise, and also he has a wonderful image for what he wants from the show, what he wants from the set, everything. And he puts all of his heart and all of his soul into the work that he does, and it's really an honour to be able to work with him.
You're 34, I need a shave!
Sorry, yeah, hard to get out of character. Macabre theatre is a way of escaping, a sense. I've always aspired to be an actor, and you know, when I found out about Macabre, I was just instantly like, oh hell yeah, I'd love to learn more, you know. So I definitely took on board everything and joined in, and just Macabre, it gives me something to do rather than being bored, and it's a way to meet new people, express myself and become someone else and go into somebody else's world and just put that on stage and show other people.
Macabre is like a second family. It's really important to me, and it's a place where no one's going to judge you, you can be yourself. Helped me a lot with confidence and socialising and meeting new people.
Macabre Theatre is family, and being able to express ourselves in ways we'd never normally be able to. And if it wasn't for Matt, we wouldn't get that opportunity. So,
being a part of Macabre Theatre has been massive for at least my confidence in myself. Like a few years ago, I wouldn't even be able to sing in front of my mum, and now I'm out on stage. Feel like there's a vibe I won't get from other theatre companies. As much as I've never been a part of them, I just feel like it's a unique experience to work with Macabre.
Working on productions like Shrek the Musical is amazing because it gives so much opportunity to our ensemble members to shine individually. And each time you think you're going to see the best of someone, they step that one step further, they go that little bit bigger, and we see something truly amazing progress in that person. So one of the greatest things of doing a production like this is seeing who will be the next person to be at the front and who will be the next person to take on that lead role, because everyone gets that opportunity to shine, and they've all grown so much while doing this production.
I think theatre and putting on musicals, especially at this day and age with everything that's going on in the world with so much uncertainty, and that it's really important because it gives all of the performers a place to belong, feel like they're a part of a family, and to feel free to be themselves, but it also gives the audience an opportunity to escape from the day-to-day dramas that we all have to put up with and take them into this magical world where they can just relax and enjoy for that special bit of time.
Ensemble theatre means a great deal to me because it's an even playing field where everyone gets to be included and a part of the process. Macabre strives for that in everything that it does. I've been running Macabre for 9 years now, and it has been the absolute greatest joy and achievement that I've done in my life. I couldn't imagine my life without Macabre Theatre Company, and I hope I never have to.